Hello students, this video is for the subject Power Electronics and PLC and it is for 5th semester Electrical and Electronics Diploma Engineering students. So we will continue with the topic 2 transistor analogy of thyristor. So under 2 transistor analogy of thyristor, we already taught about the expression for anode current and we taught about the gate triggering mechanism under 2 transistor analogy. Under 2 transistor analogy in gate triggering mechanism, we studied how the thyristor turned on with the help of alpha 1 and alpha 2. That means in the 2 transistor analogy, how the thyristor turned on with gate triggering mechanism. In the gate triggering mechanism, already we discussed in the previous class that in gate triggering mechanism, by applying gate signal to the thyristor 2 transistor analogy, that means by applying gate drive current to the transistors, the gate current act as a base signal for the transistors, and by applying gate signal the emitter current gradually increases, and then uh, current gain alpha 1 and alpha 2 will approaches to unity, and then once alpha 1 alpha 2 approaches to unity, then anode current tend to infinity. That means anode current increases and the thyristor turned on. So the next turn on mechanisms are the forward voltage triggering, dB by dt triggering, temperature triggering and light triggering. So today in this video session we will study other different turn on mechanisms one by one. So let's start with the forward voltage triggering. So in forward voltage triggering, what happens if the forward voltage across anode and cathode is applied, and then once forward voltage applied across anode and cathode, then the thyristor act as in forward blocking state. So if the forward voltage across anode to cathode is increased, the collector to emitter voltage of both the transistor are also increased. So in the before class I already shown you the two transistor circuit. In the two transistor analysis, in the two transistor circuit there is two transistors Q1 and Q2. Okay, so if we increase the anode to cathode voltage, then the collector to emitter voltage of both the transistor also increased. So as a result, the leakage current at the middle junction J2 of the thyristor increases. So here the leakage current of the thyristor at junction J2 also act as collector current for Q2 and Q1, which already I shown you in the circuit diagram representation of two transistor analogy. So with the increase in collector current IC1 and IC2 due to avalanche breakdown, the emitter current of the two transistors. So with the increase in collector current IC1 and IC2 due to avalanche breakdown at junction J2, the emitter current of the two transistor also increases. After increase in emitter current, what happens? It causes alpha 1 plus alpha 2 to approach unity. Already I told you IA equal to alpha 2 Ig plus ICBO1 plus ICBO2 divided by 1 minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2. Okay, so this part is the our requirement part. So after increase in the value of emitter current, it leads to the increase in the value of alpha 1 plus alpha 2 to approach unity. This leads to switching action of the device due to regenerative action. Okay, how? Because once we apply forward voltage across once we increase forward voltage across anode to cathode, then the leakage current increases. That leakage current leads to act as the collector current for the both the transistors. This collector current increases the emitter current value in the transistors. Once emitter current increases, then alpha 1 plus alpha 2 to approach unity, and again leakage current level increases, because once the alpha 1 plus alpha 2 increase means 1 minus 1 is the 0, then something by 0 gives you infinity. That means ia slightly increases. Again, if ia increases, that means current through the anode and cathode increases. Anode and cathode current increase means the leakage current level slightly increases, and again the same process will continue. Again, leakage current increase means collector current of the two transistor increases. This lead to increase in emitter current, and again alpha 1 plus alpha 2 of the alpha 1 and alpha 2 for both the transistor increases. That means alpha 1 plus alpha 2 approaches to unity, and again then slightly increase in the value of anode current. So this is a regenerative action. So the forward voltage triggering for turning on a thyristor may be destructive and should therefore be avoided. Obviously, it may destroy the device, because if we increase the anode to cathode forward voltage, that means voltage reach to a extreme high level, and at the same time, due to the voltage due to the increase in voltage, current through the thyristor is also increased. So here current level is high, voltage level is high, so obviously heat dissipation is also higher, which may destroy the device during its operation. So this method of triggering, that is forward voltage triggering, should be avoided. Okay, so the next method of triggering is the dB by dt triggering. Okay, so in dB by dt triggering, so in dB by dt triggering, what happens? Just wait. So in dB by dt triggering, the reverse bias junction J2 behaves like a capacitor because of the space charge present across the junction J2. So let the capacitance of this junction is Cj. Okay, and for any capacitor, I current is equal to C into dB by dt. This part, C into dB by dt. So in this case, it is assumed that entire voltage, forward voltage, that is VA, appears across reverse bias junction J2. Reverse bias junction J2. Already I told you in the dB by dt triggering method how the space charges appear across the junction J2, and how the junction J2 behaves like a capacitor. So across the capacitor, if the voltage, blocking voltage is the VA, and VA appears across the J2 junction, and the charging current in across junction J2 is I into Cj into dVA by dt, which this formula we already derived in the dB by dt triggering method. Okay, so what happens when the space charge exists at junction J2, then it behaves like a capacitor. Then a charging current flows through the capacitor or flows through the junction by the formula I into Cj dVA by dt, because here VA is the voltage appear across junction J2, Cj is the junction capacitor, and I is the charging current flows through the junction J2. This charging current, or it also called as displacement current across junction J2, is collector current for Q2 and Q1. So this charging current IC behaves as a collector current for Q2 and Q1. So the collector current IC2 and IC1 of transistor Q2 and Q1 will induce again emitter current in Q2 and Q1. So after the increase in the emitter current level, what happens if we increase the rate of rise of anode voltage, that means if the dBA by dt is large, then the emitter current will be large. Okay, because if dBA by dt is large, that means the charging current through the junction capacitor is large, and if the charging current is large, then the collector current for both the transistor will be large. That means the emitter current will also large. So if the emitter current will be large, as a result, alpha 1 plus alpha 2 will reach unity. Understood? And alpha 1 plus alpha 2 reach unity, that means this leads to IA tends to infinity. And IA tends to infinity, that means IA rises towards infinity, means the switching action of thyristor is done. That means thyristor switches from off state to on state. So this is the dB by dt triggering mechanism under two transistor analogy. Okay, so the next one is the temperature triggering. See what happens in temperature triggering. So at high temperature, the forward leakage current across junction J2 rises. Okay, so already we discussed, when the thyristor is in forward blocking state, there is some amount of leakage current through the thyristor. So at high temperature, the forward leakage current across junction J2 rises. This leakage current serves as collector junction current of the component transistor Q1 and Q2. So this leakage current serves as collector current for transistor Q1 and Q2 in T2 transistor analogy. Therefore, an increase in leakage current IC1 and IC2 leads to an increase in the emitter current of Q1 and Q2. So the leakage current the leakage current act as a collector current for Q1 and Q2. And at high temperature, this leakage current increases, that means the collector current value increases in the component transistor. If the collector current value increases, that means there is increase in emitter current, and as a result, with the increase in the emitter current, alpha 1 plus alpha 2 approaches to unity, which consequently this leads to the switching action of the thyristor. That means once alpha 1 plus alpha 2 approaches to unity, that means IA tend to infinite. If IA tend to infinite, means forward anode current flows through the thyristor. That means thyristor now switches from forward blocking state to forward conduction state. That means off state to on state. Clear? So the next one is the light triggering mechanism. Under light triggering mechanism, what happens when light is thrown on silicon, an electron holes pair increases. Okay, in the forward bias thyristor means anode positive, cathode negative. Okay, so in the forward bias thyristor, leakage current across junction J2 increases, which eventually increases alpha 1 plus alpha 2 to unity. So if electron hole pair increases with the irradiation of the light intensity, then what happens? If the leakage current increases, that means obviously the collector current for transistor Q1 Q2 increases, and this leads to the increase in the value of emitter current. And if emitter current rises, that means alpha 1 plus alpha 2 approaches to unity. And again, once alpha 1 plus alpha 2 approaches to unity, IA tends to infinite. That means switching action of thyristor occurs. Okay, so gate triggering is the most common method for turning on thyristor, and light trigger thyristor are used in HVDC applications. Okay, I already told you we can use gate triggering method with the light triggering method also. That means we can use both gate and light triggering combinations. Okay, so its application is HVDC application. So the operational difference between thyristor family and transistor family of device may now be summarized as under. So there is some operational difference between thyristor family member and transistor family member. What are those? See, the first one is the once a thyristor is turned on by a gate signal, it remains latched in on state due to internal regenerative action. That means once the thyristor is switches from off state to on state due to the application of the gate signal, it remain in on state due to the action of the due to the internal regenerative action. So if now we remove the gate signal, thyristor remain in on state. It is not coming back to the off state after removal of the gate signal. Okay, so but in transistor family, what happens? A transistor must be given a continuous base signal to remain in on state. Clear? Again, in order to turn off the thyristor, a reverse voltage must be applied across its anode and cathode terminal. So to turn off a thyristor, we need to apply reverse voltage across anode and cathode. So after applying reverse voltage, what happens? Anode current decreases up to the level holding current, and then thyristor will turn off. But in case of transistor, what happens? In case of a transistor family, a transistor turns off when its base signal is removed. That means in transistor family, a transistor can turn on by giving continuous base signal to remain in on state, and to turn off a transistor, we need to remove the base signal. This is the operational difference between thyristor family member and transistor family member semiconductor devices. Okay, so this is all about two transistor analogy turn on mechanisms. By these turn on methods, by discussing these different types of turn on mechanism, we can we can turn on the thyristor with analyze in the thyristor family, with analyze the mechanism of transistors. That means we can turn on the thyristor under two transistor analogy, means how the thyristor switches from off state to on state by considering component transistors. Okay, by considering component transistor, that means how the component transistors operate, and how emitter current increases, and then how with the increase in emitter current, alpha 1 alpha 2 approaches to unity, and then forward anode current of thyristor rise to the infinity level, and then thyristor switches from off state to on state. This is all we discussed under two transistor analogy. Clearly understood about this two transistor analogy? Okay, thank you.